All right, folks, it's finally happening. Yes, something that a lot of us were still complaining about for these past 12 months, it's finally on its way. It's finally on track. It's finally, moving. The ball is rolling because we've been complaining so far about what the SEC, what authorities are doing about this obvious manipulation we are experiencing every single day into AMC stock. And as today, we just received a confirmation this morning that Citadel it's now under investigation by the Department of Justice. This is such a big deal that every single media outlet, Bloomberg first, are just picking this up, and it's going to spread like wildfire. I mean, just literally every single news outlet. Listen, this is a big deal, folks.
On the latest when it comes to Morgan Stanley and that block trading probe, we are hearing here that now the DOJ is seeking information on executives at Citadel, Element, and others. They have names that have been highlighted here. Does show just where the scope of this probe.
The scope of this probe about the block trade. The block trade is really when you're using big amount of shares, big chunk of money in order to actually profit, whether it's from short selling or whatever. But we already have the details around what the tactics are, and it's just not a coincidence because we already knew that the DOJ started investigating, targeting some of these short sellers based on spoofing and scalping tactics, which are totally illegal, especially when it comes to short selling. And we know that SEC Gary Gensler reiterated his motivation, and how big of a deal it is for the market to bring back trust, to have public trust, because finance is ultimately about trust. So this is not a surprise. The actual surprise is how is this going to affect the share price? And that's why I said literally next Tuesday, we can wake up and start seeing some of these short sellers starting to cover. Why? Because in Wall Street, trust is definitely one of the most used currencies. Why? Because if you are working with big banks such as Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs, which is actually one of the two big banks, at the whole center of this, huge investigation, not only on block trade, but it's taking part of a bigger picture that the regulators really want to deal with and move forward. Why? Because it's a chaos. It's a chaos. It's a disease to the stock market. All right. So here's what's going to happen next. I totally expect a bunch of the clients of Citadel picking up the phone and calling either Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs or any other bank working with these guys and calling these guys and saying, you know what, I'm hearing this thing and it's on all the major news covering financial markets information. What is going on? Should I be worried? Should I remove my money? Should I, is it something I need to do? Should I be concerned? And based on that, you can also expect people from the other side of this trade to actually start seeking how they can position themselves in order to benefit from this, because Citadel was not the very first company to be subpoenaed, to be sued, to start being investigated by the DOJ. As a matter of fact, it wasn't the first time, it wasn't the first firm that was being carried out by this whole probe investigation. No. So it may have something that they discovered based on communications or maybe based on trading trails, trading history from any other firm or from what is happening in stocks like AMC, and they potentially stumble upon something that led them to Citadel. And the fact that we're hearing this now definitely means they are on to something big. So the question is, when will that really be translated into the share price? Well, nobody knows. Nobody can tell you that. But I can expect few of the little shorts, those with maybe the 5,000 shares, the little short sellers, those who don't have a lot of capital as Citadel, for example, to start getting spooked, to start, getting scary on what if I don't cover now and some whale comes in here and start buying and scooping all these shares in the draw pool and I get fucked. So let me just get out here, and that could cause that domino effect. It may not necessarily happen when we want it to happen, but truth of the matter is we are getting closer and closer and moving towards the right direction every single week, because the main thing here was, how can we stop the manipulation? How can we stop all of these tactics from short sellers that are stopping and refraining and preventing the share price from going to the moon? And as this whole thing is starting, definitely we're getting closer to that point where they will be forced to get out one way or another. All right. So just a matter of patience. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Tuesday we see some pop. So let's wait and see if I was wrong.